Today I'll be talking about the wrongful conviction of Donald Nash. Donald Nash was convicted of murder in Missouri over in a small little town called Rolla. The agenda of this, we'll be talking about the backgrounds of the case, the critical issue, the critique of the law and social control, the jurisprudence, the sociological perspective, and the conclusion of the case. The body of Judy Spencer was found March 11th, 1982. She was found on a dirt road. She was killed, shot in the neck with a shotgun, and strangled with the right shoelace. Prints were found in the car. They matched a man by the name of Anthony Feldman, who was a local gas station attendant for a town 30 miles away. There was also prints found on the outside of the car by a gentleman with the last name of Hayer, who lived up the street. Sergeant Jamie Folsom prepared probable cause for Nash's arrest because they couldn't find a for sure culprit of who actually killed Spencer. October 2nd, 2008, Feldman, who was a suspect, had fingerprints located in the car that were linked back to him. Feldman had convictions of of abuse and intent of rape. October 2nd of 2008, he shot himself with a shotgun before he was ever actually interviewed by police or investigated further. July 4th, Zur, who was the attorney for Nash later on in time, actually had the sentence vacated under the state of Missouri because there was not enough evidence linking Nash back to the actual crime. The critical issues in the case were, at that time, there was a scientist with the last name of Montgomery that was doing the DNA tests that were found under Spencer's fingernails. The DNA never really come back as being linked to the defendant because it was destroyed, because the victim did wash her hair right before she was actually killed at a friend's house, and it was never really linked back to Nash. And because Montgomery, who did the testing, did not actually study up on DNA at that time, it wasn't a very common practice. The law and social control of the situation, it was state law, it was homicide, it was suspected rape. So there wasn't any federal charges past that. It was all state level. The only time it did go any further is when they were trying to get Nash free. The jurisprudence of it was narrative. Spencer was killed. She was preyed upon because she was drunk. She had a very horrible drinking problem. And being drunk, she was vulnerable in the situation. The analysis on the sociological perspective is Marx. It is the courts control the power. They control who goes to jail. They say, this is enough evidence. We don't need any more evidence to actually convict Nash. It's all we've got to go on. They had no suspects at all whatsoever. They had to put somebody away because it was a murder. So they went ahead and just chose Nash because it was the only evidence, and because of a fight that had happened earlier that day before she was killed while she was out drinking. The critique of the law was the whole case was a mess because it, like I talked about earlier, and Zur made the comment that junk science was allowed in courts in Missouri at that time. The Feldman, who was the gas station attendant, was actually seen with the victim prior to her being killed in the bar, and they were both drunk apparently, and they were seen leaving together. Well, with his violent criminal past and a woman that is heavily intoxicated is a very easy victim. It also talked about Feldman killing himself with a shotgun. They said it wasn't the same shotgun that was used in the crime, but it showed that that was kind of his go-to in a way, you could say. That was his MO, was the shotgun. And that will do it on the conviction of Donald Nash.